Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Finance on Your Terms with Mike and Danny. We've been going back to school, back to basics the last couple episodes. We talked about establishing the emergency fund. Last week we talked about debt and how it isn't that big scary thing that everybody attributes to. It's not an embarrassing thing as long as you have a plan. So Mike, what are our plans?
So when it comes down to debt payoff, two of the most common strategies that we run into are called Avalanche and Snowball, and that's our plan today, is to kind of explain each of those. But in order to start either of those strategies, what you need to do is lay out all the debts that you have. And so what you need to do is you're going to lay out your debt either in order of interest rate or in order of amounts due. And that's the key difference between those two strategies. So the Avalanche strategy is when you lay out all your debt, whether it's student loans, credit cards, car loans, mortgage, every single piece of debt that you have. The Avalanche strategy involves interest rates. And so you're basically stacking your debt by interest rate. And what you're going to do is start with the debt that has the highest interest rate. More often than not, it's going to be your credit card. You know, credit cards 18, 20, 22%, and then you work all your way down to maybe, you know, you've got a car loan at 7%, a student loan of 5%, a mortgage at 4%, whatever it is. But what you do is you pay minimum payments on every single piece of debt except that highest interest rate.
Yep.
And all the additional money that you've got to invest, so every dollar above and beyond the emergency fund money that you've already built up, those are your investable assets that you're going to throw into paying off that highest interest rate debt. Once that highest interest rate debt, whether it's $200 or $20,000, once that debt is paid off, you're going to take the entire payment that you were using for that debt payoff and you're going to roll that into the next highest interest debt that you have and continue to do that. And so you can see the avalanche, it just kind of builds on each other, and you kind of see this effect where it's down the mountain and you just got this giant payment that's paying off, paying off, paying off. And so that's the idea of the avalanche strategy. Highest interest rate first, throw as much money as you can at it, everything else minimum.
Then we go to the snowball, which is pretty similar but also kind of different because we're going to stack, instead of the interest rates, we're going to say interest rates don't matter in the snowball method. We're just going to look at the dollars owed. And we're going to stack those from the least amount to the most amount. So again, credit cards, you've got $500 on. The vehicle loan, you've got $10,000. Your mortgage, you got $250,000. The whole purpose with this is, again, make the minimum payments on everything except that smallest dollar amount that you owe. So that example, you got a credit card with $500 on it. You're going to try to pay that off as quickly as you can. And then all of the extra funds that you now have from paying that off are going to go to that car loan. Once the car loan's paid off, then you're going to look at the mortgage. Very, very simplistic overview of both of these debt strategies. The point that we want to make with this by oversimplifying is that it's part of the plan.
Yep.
We need to look at the plan, your overall financial picture, and then we can help determine which strategy makes the most sense for you. With that, I think we'll close for this week. Come back next week. We've got one more exciting back to basics video for you all. Share, give us comments, let us know what you're thinking. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thanks, everybody.
I will interrupt. I'll say this one thing. I just thought of this, just to extend the video just a little bit longer. With the two strategies that we mentioned, typically, and again, this is just all kind of, you know, take it with a grain of salt, the avalanche method that I talked about tends to pay off a little bit quicker because, again, you're tackling that higher interest rate, and so in the end you're paying a little bit less interest. So not pay off quicker, but you're paying a little bit less interest. But what's really, really neat about Danny's method, that snowball method, is a lot of times that's where it gets that motivation that you want. So even as a $200 credit card, you pay that sucker off first, you're like, hell yeah, I can do this. Yep. It gives you that extra motivation to continue because it's an easy, quick win for you. So that's the only thing I wanted to add. I just thought about that. But like Danny said, continue to share, continue to spread the love. We will see you guys next week as we continue our back to basics. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you guys soon.